Hello and welcome back to Trial of the Seven Kingdoms, and we are here at Duskendale attempting to take it back. Now, bear in mind, this literally just got taken and it already has 123 in the garrison, so I can't even imagine how amazing the defense would have been if I'd have left it for a little bit longer. Anyway, there's a very large army that has taken this beforehand, and they had around 2,000 combat strength. Obviously, I basically decided to just allow them to take it. It's not my fief, so there's no real need for me to put my own forces on the line. And speaking of my forces, I actually just donated my entire inventory to leveling up my recruits, because obviously in the previous episode, if you saw that, then you'll know exactly what happened. But basically we needed to level up some recruits really fast, and I decided, okay, you know what, I'm gonna donate every single thing that I have. That includes armor, that includes weapons, and try and level up my forces as fast as I possibly could. And I've done a pretty decent job of it. We did get around 150 units leveled up. And generally we didn't do it all at the same time, by the way, either. So we basically did, I think it was 81,000 experience for the armor, and I think it was around 56,000 for the weapons. I actually thought I had a lot more than that, but I assume what happened was in the previous episode we did have a bit of a problem. Yes, a bit of a problem. And we actually ended up losing a bunch of loot in the process. And I suppose that is indeed the reason why we didn't have too many things available to donate. Which is sad. But, that kind of thing happens, doesn't it? That kind of thing does happen. Alright, so here we go. Let's do this. I love the thrown weapons. Oh, thrown weapons are so fun. They really are. Oh, especially when they do things like that. Oh, yes. When they do things like that and the guy goes flying because you hit him in the chest or something like that, it's absolutely amazing. Why am I trying to hit my own guy? Sorry about that, sir. Yes, I was attempting to hit one of my own Dragonstone soldiers, and that's exactly what we're using now. We are actually using Dragonstone units much more, because that is what the garrison at... why is he trying to block? Did you see that? It's like me, it's like seeing me in the mirror, to be honest. That guy without a shield attempting to block a ranged weapon with his sword. Although I'm actually not entirely sure. Does the two-handed perk work? Because as far as I remember, there is a perk available that actually gives you the ability to deflect arrows. I don't think it allows you to deflect thrown weapons though, of course. But it does allow you to deflect arrows. I'm not entirely sure how it works. This is a very, shall we say, it's a perk that I generally tend to take quite often. Actually, is it still available even? I really don't even know. I have not paid attention to that in quite some time, because I don't know, it's generally... I just don't know how it works. I mean, do you block at the same time that an arrow is coming in? But it's super difficult to kind of figure out where the arrow is going to come from. Do you have to block in the certain direction that the arrow is going to hit? So for example, if it's coming from the your right side, is it actually going to come from there, or is it going to come from somewhere else? I don't know. That's the problem, you see. So that there's a bit of an issue, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, okay, here we go. This is fantastic. You see all these units right here? This is crazy, by the way. The amount of units that they have available. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to pick and choose. I am going to be swapping, I think, tier 3s and below, if there are any tier 3s. That's exactly my point. We've leveled up so many units that I have very few low tier units now, and I just have tier 4s for the most part. Yes, indeed, I do have tier 4s. So I'm going to be attempting to take as many units as possible, and if in the case that I actually end up having only tier 5s to choose from, I mean, you can see here, look at these Lannister elite bowmen. I mean, it makes me super sad to basically be like, oh, look at this guy. He's a tier 5 unit. Why would I not want to take him? You know what I mean? So it kind of gives me a bad really bad vibe here as well now, because look at this, tier 6 even. There are literal tier 6 units available, and I'm on the verge of basically just saying no thank you, because I have no space. I have no space, but I guess I'm going to have to do something with the tier 4 units. So I suppose what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap a bunch of tier 4s away from my army, because we've just taken a huge amount of tier 6s, which is actually kind of fantastic. And let me see, can I even find the space for it? I mean, just about. But yeah, everyone else is tier 5 and above. That is actually crazy. I don't even know whether... I think I have had an army this strong in the past, but that was only... That was where was that again? Sturgeon Viking series? Yeah, I think it was the Sturgeon Viking series or something like that. Anyway, I have no idea what I'm supposed to swap out now, because I have no tier 4 units. I guess I will swap one of the Dragonstone Bowmen or something like that, and then we'll just allow the rest of these units to go to our friends, you know, our companions that are with us, and hopefully they're going to make the most of them. Anyway, look at that. Okay, the troop's going to get 20,000. This is a cracked Woodland Yew bow. This is actually a fantastic bow, as you can see right there. 58 piercing damage, pretty good. The accuracy is a little bit harsh, only 92. I know that seems a bit weird for me to say only in that regard, but yeah, 92 for a bow is a bit low. 95 is kind of where you want it, maybe higher if you can get that, but obviously it is cracked, so it kind of makes sense in that sense. Anyway, I'm actually going to take the loot for the moment, because I'm not entirely sure if we really want to donate any additional experience at the moment. Alright, so let me... Oh, this is a town. That's absolutely fantastic, by the way. So I can actually ransom my prisoners almost immediately. And we're basically just going to wait here for some time, because you never know, maybe the opponent is going to come over here. Wait a minute. Why didn't these guys take any units? Why didn't they take the units from the garrison? Do they not automatically take the units? Okay, well that was, I guess that was a mistake on my part, because whenever you're in an army before, and I'm talking about that with vassals, if you're in a battle and you have some rescued prisoners that are available, then the vassals are going to, you know, split up all of the rescued prisoners and share them amongst themselves. That is what I was expecting to see here, but apparently that did not happen. So I guess that's a rather large mistake on my part. But how am I supposed to know that? I don't know. How am I supposed to know that the campaigns are not going to do that? And yeah, you're probably going to say, you know, you should pay more attention or something along those lines. I don't know. I mean, personally, if I don't know it, then I don't know it. You know. There's not really much I can do about that. Anyway, 150 in leadership now. Let's have a look here. Increases morale gain from victories. This could, I don't know, this could be kind of good, because I actually have 90 morale at the moment. But usually we have around 100 anyway, so it makes no sense really. I'm just going to go for veterans respect, I guess. I haven't gone for this in a very long time either, by the way, because it is just, well... I'm barely, you know, having any bandit units anyway, so it doesn't really make much sense. Okay, let me actually... yes, there it is. Okay, so you basically get no option in the two-handed weapon perk tree, and it's at 150 skill level in two-handed that you can deflect arrows with two-handed swords by blocking. So I assume that guy was thinking that I was using a ranged weapon against him, aka using a arrow-based weapon like a bow or something. And maybe they don't kind of separate between the two, so maybe he thought I was using a bow when in fact I was using thrown weapons. But, well, who knows? We will never know. We won't know his thought process or anything like that. I'm just going to wait here a little bit longer, because I would like to make sure that this does not get taken, and I'm sure the vote is going to go through relatively soon. And then someone will take over defending Duskendale. It's high. Oh wow, they've already got a huge amount of people in there. Actually, wait a minute. I think this garrison is actually the garrison that we left the units of. So basically, you know how we left all those units behind? I think they were deposited into the garrison rather than these guys in my army, rather than them taking them. I think they went into the garrison. So that's actually kind of amazing and pretty cool, in my opinion. I think that's kind of nice, you know, actually having the ability to defend the town almost immediately. Although now we are left in a situation where, well, I'm going to be a lot less effective going forward and attempting to take Harren Hall here, which is exactly what I am going to try and do. So let me just get... I actually really like this combination of battering ram, siege tower, and then just leaving the third one empty. Leaving the third one empty, I think, actually makes a pretty big difference. And you know what? I'm actually thinking of building ballistas here as well. I'm going to build a bunch of ballistas because I actually want to have these ballistas for my own forces to use, maybe to, you know, thin out a couple of the enemy, and we'll see how that happens. But maybe they're not going to use them appropriately, maybe it's going to be absolutely awful, but yeah, look at that. We've already got 5 of them out, and they're already doing massive damage to the enemy's siege equipment as well, which is super cool to see, because usually whenever you build ballistas, they are some of the worst trash in the world. They really are super fragile. They don't do that I mean, they do a lot of damage, but they don't do that much damage before they get eliminated. And in this case, that's a little bit different, so I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think what I'm actually going to do is just go straight on in now. We've already destroyed 2 pieces of siege equipment, and they were about to finish a third, but we went in before they were able to do that, so pretty happy with that. Anyway, let's see what we can do here. Alright, so yeah, we have 4 ballistas, battering ram, siege tower, and as I was saying, I personally prefer having the siege ladders. The siege ladders available on one side. I feel like that makes a pretty big difference in the viability of any particular siege attack. Obviously, this is my own personal opinion here. You don't have to agree, of course. Maybe you think that this is an absolutely awful idea, which, yeah, it may be. You know, some siege layouts could definitely benefit from having 2 siege towers, or no siege towers in some cases, and others otherwise could, you know, benefit from having no battering ram, because it does take the enemy a long time for them to basically destroy these battering rams unless they have siege equipment, and they don't. That's the whole fun point about this. They do not have any siege equipment whatsoever because we destroyed it with our ballistas ahead of schedule, which is actually super nice. So that means that our battering ram and our siege tower can very easily make it to the walls. I'm actually just going to run over here. I love the siege ladders, in my opinion. I feel like it gives a much better variety in momentum. And by that, I mean the ladders are so much easier to use. You know, for example, the siege tower takes a long time to get there. It takes a long time for people to ascend the siege tower. And while it is a lot safer in regards to, you know, protecting yourself from enemy units, it is in a situation where, you know, this kind of thing is going to get stopped pretty easily if you have 2 of them, you know what I mean? So if you have 2 siege towers, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier to defend against that than it is to defend against 1 siege ladder and 1 siege tower. You can see here, look at the other side. Look at that. They're having issues. Look at that. My own units are having problems getting onto the battlements. And that's purely for the fact that they are now in an artificial bottleneck. Have you noticed that? That you know, a bottleneck does not have to be where you're in a tunnel and there are walls on either side. It can literally be a bottleneck formed because there's basically nothing on either side, you know, because if you're in a siege tower, then obviously you're going to be on a ramp, a wooden ramp, and there aren't going to be any walls by the side. And so that's basically an artificial bottleneck in a way. And that basically makes it possible for the enemy to very much force your forces into a situation that they don't want to be in. And that's the reason why siege tower, at least in my opinion, having 1 of them is perfect, maybe 2, maybe not so much. So yeah, that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of interesting and definitely adds a lot more variety to the strategy that you can utilize when doing siege battles. I quite like that a lot. Generally, I've always spoken about that. You know, I always love the variety that you're going to see in a lot of different mods, actually, from Warband as well. If you take a look at Britain Order, for example, that was one of the first mods way back in, what was it, 2012 or 2013 or maybe 2014, I'm not entirely sure which year it came out, but they did an amazing job of implementing different ways of besieging things. And I think they were, I could be wrong about this, but I think they were the first mod to institute a battering ram. Yes, an actual battering ram, if you can believe that. And yeah, I mean, I know. If you're used to Bannerlord now, obviously me saying, "Oh yeah, they had a battering ram too." It's like literally, you know, going back to the 90s and being like, "Oh, look at this smartphone that I have here." You know, it's kind of like magic almost. But yeah, it's kind of like that was a big deal, you know, having a battering ram in a mod. That was a really, really big deal because at that time, Warband, you basically only had, what was it, siege ladders and siege towers. Well, one siege tower. You would have one siege tower and one siege ladder. That is all you would have. And you couldn't choose between them. It was just one or the other. And they were predetermined, dependent on the castle layout. So that's the reason why I say, hey, battering ram, that's cool. I like seeing that, you know, that's pretty fun. But yeah, Britain Order was definitely one of those that really pioneered the varieties in siege tactics, because you could poison the water, you could send spies in, you could starve the town out, you could do all kinds of really, really cool things that would provide you so many more options of dealing with the enemy's defenses. And yeah, that I feel like that definitely inspired a lot of the different things that are going on in Bannerlord as well, because obviously battering rams and things like that. I you know, personally, one of my big wishes for Bannerlord when I was talking about it way back, and I was talking about this, I think in I think it was a series of Perisno or a series of Prophecy of Pendor. I can't remember. I think it was Perisno, actually. And generally, I was talking about destructible environments. I was very, very enjoying, you know, playing through Red Faction, one of the Red Faction games. I think it was the, not Armageddon, but the one before that. Can't remember what it's called now, but I was very much enjoying playing through that, and I thought to myself, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if you had destructible environments in Warband or in Bannerlord? And I was just talking about that. So that was definitely on my wish list. Unfortunately, I kind of hesitate to say whether they have destructible environments or not, because technically they do, but in a different way than what I expected, basically, because I was expecting to be able to you know, pretty much destroy the walls in real time, but obviously you can't do that. You can destroy the gates, but you can't destroy the walls, which obviously is a little bit disappointing, but it's still cool that you are able to destroy those walls on the campaign map and then go inside the siege map itself, and then the walls are obviously down at that point. Anyway, I have enough units, I think, to now be able to give a bunch of people away, potentially. So let me see what I can do here. I have so many high-tier units, I have no idea what to do. This is actually kind of harsh, to be honest. Okay, so tier 4s, right? So I'm going to give all tier 4s away. Oof. I mean, how is this supposed to work, to be honest? I mean, am I literally going to be giving tier 5s away soon? Yeah, it seems as though that is indeed going to be the case. That is actually hilarious. Okay, wait a minute. Can I sort these by tier? I think I probably can, but let's just do this the old-fashioned way and just go all the way through here. That seems pretty good to me. Okay, something like this. There we go. Hired crossbowman. I can't believe that we literally have to give tier 5s. That is actually insane if you think about it. Okay. Okay, there we go. Yes, sellsword. I don't really care for the mercenary units, to be honest. All right, am I good? I'm over my prisoner limit, but I'm not entirely sure if I'm over my troop limit. I don't think so. No, I think we're pretty good right now. Okay, so are we actually good? Ah, yeah, I'm really good at maths, by the way. Have you heard? Yeah, really good at that. Okay, so there we go. Let's just restore ourselves a little bit. No, I'm actually over by a little bit. Yes, I am indeed over by a little bit, but let's just sell our prisoners real quick. And personally, you know what? I'm actually just going to leave my forces the way they are. If someone wants to leave, then they can just, you know, they can just leave. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. We're going to fight this person. Let's see if we can... I actually wanted to level up my forces before doing this. So let me actually just leave here. Oh, we've already done that. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, obviously, because they're all tier 5 and all tier 6. What an imbecile I am. Yes, should have definitely realized that. But, you know... I actually thought, hey, maybe it would be a good idea to have our, you know, have our party members, have our clan members actually level up. But obviously, I have no control over that, so that doesn't really make any difference. Oh well, never mind. Okay, so let's make my forces go over here. All right, so my forces have engaged the opponent, and yeah, okay. So let me just update you on what actually just happened. So basically, what I did was I was thinking to myself, okay, it's going to take me a very long time to get to where the opponent is. So I was basically just going in super fast mode, as you do. And yeah, I think you can kind of guess the rest, basically. Yeah, I basically just ran into the enemy cavalry and they, well, shall we say... they lanced me in the face and I died almost immediately. So yeah, that is a thing. All right, let me take a look at what we have here. Okay, we have so much food. Look at this craziness. This is actually kind of insane. I don't even know what to do with this. Guess we're just going to have to let it go, I suppose. I mean, we have so much stuff right there. Oh, it seems like someone actually died. Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, we're going to go over to Raventree Hall here. We were able to win that, obviously. I was actually hoping that we would be able to participate in that field battle, but obviously sometimes things don't go according to plan, and we had a bit of an issue. Yes, a bit of an issue is a bit of an understatement there. But yeah, generally... it would have been nice to fight on the field for once, because we are generally doing quite a few sieges right now. Okay, so I'm going to get my ballistas out. I don't think they're going to do very well. No, they're not doing very well at the moment. So let's just get some catapults up instead. And I'm just going to watch out for any enemy armies here. I'm actually hoping that the catapults are going to do a good job. Yeah, they are seemingly doing a good job now. And all I need to do, yes, there we go, we've got all 4 of them, so all I need to do is if one of them gets destroyed, I can just immediately reconstruct it. We've got to be very careful as well. We want to make sure that we are very, very careful here. Okay, oh, Blackhaven got taken as well, that's pretty amazing. And we're destroying the walls. We're actually destroying the walls. This is kind of impressive. Usually we're not able to do this, but this is going to be pretty fun. It's been a long time since I've been able to destroy the walls of any particular place, because the siege bombardment casualties that we were receiving beforehand were just way too much for any of my forces to handle. And it seems like they may have retuned that a little bit, because way back it was just too costly. It was just way too costly for me to stay in the siege. It was just extremely expensive in terms of loss of life. You would lose so many casualties every single second of the siege that it would pretty much just not be worth it. You know, so that's why I started doing that whole thing where we were basically just starting the siege, constructing the siege camp, and then just going straight in, and that was it. We weren't doing anything else. We weren't building a siege tower. We weren't building a battering ram or anything like that. We were just going straight on in with siege ladders, and that was it. And that was the formulation of that particular strategy. But before that, I had been doing the whole, you know, build a trebuchet, put it in reserve, build a trebuchet, put it in reserve until you had 4 of them, and then just completely destroying the walls in the process of that. And that was actually very effective until the siege bombardment casualties came in, and then they were just very expensive and very costly indeed. So I changed things up a little bit, and it seems like they have fixed that. Because I personally felt like it was just way too expensive, as I say. You know, you'd lose so many units all in, what, under a minute? You would lose, like, what, 100 units or something? It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. I mean, I have it on video, so you can see that for yourself. I think it was in the... Was it in the Berserker series? Yeah, I think it might have been in the Berserker series. We basically tried a siege near... Where was it now? It was near Vlandian, yes, Vlandian territory, a little bit north of Vlandian territory on the Botanian-Vlandian border, I believe. And we were having so many difficulties. Ow. No. Do not kill me, please. Oh, I'm gonna die. Let's just hit someone on the way out then, shall we? Ah, I got hit in the face. Ouch. 51 piercing damage right there. But yeah, anyway, I began the siege on that border, and it was just a regular... Wasn't it just a regular castle? Yeah, I think it was just a regular castle I was attempting to take. And I started building the siege engines, and then as soon as I had my own siege engines up, I started receiving massive siege bombardment casualties, and I'm talking about literally losing like 60 units in, well, under a minute, as I say. Under a minute, I think I remember that. And it was just crazy, amazing amounts of damage. So it seems nice that they might have reduced that. I'm not entirely sure, but it feels to me like it's a lot more balanced now, because it seems like, you know, if the enemy does damage to you, then obviously you're going to take casualties, you know, that's how it's supposed to be. But if you do damage to them before they are able to retaliate against you, then you can kind of prevent that damage a little bit. And that definitely makes a big difference. Okay, so there we go. The battle is now done, and we can now continue onward. I'm actually wondering, do they have any prisoners in here? Seems like a lot of these places have prisoners in, and you're going to be able to, yeah, as you can see right here, this is pretty crazy. I'm going to take all of them, because that's generally what I should have been doing this whole time, but obviously I was wanting to try to either have my forces automatically take these units, or for the garrisons to be, you know, having some defenders stationed in or something like that. But yeah, we are having so much cash right now. It's just ludicrous, really. Okay, so let's talk to the party leaders here. I'm basically just going to give any unit that is tier 3, tier 4, etc. And then we should be perfectly fine. I mean, there are so many of them. Yeah, can I sort by tier? Level. No, wait. Tier comparer. There we go. Okay, and it's descending, so that's exactly what we want. Okay, so hopefully that's going to work, right? Is it working? Wait a minute. It's not going to work just yet. I need to go out of the party screen and then go back in, I assume, for it to refresh. Hopefully that's going to work now. Okay, apparently it is... No, apparently it is not working, so... Or maybe it is. No, it seems like... For some reason it's doing ascending rather than descent. Actually, you know what? No, I think I may have done that wrong. I misunderstood. I thought descending would go literally from the top all the way down, but it's actually doing, well, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Who cares? Who cares what I have to say? Let's go over here and let's try to swap a bunch of people. There we go. Fantastic. And now, bear in mind, these are militia, so obviously this is kind of bad. So I'm going to go into Raventree Hall here real quick. Yeah, exactly the point. We just lost 36 units. That's super bad, but that's okay because we are now just going to be placing a bunch of militia in here. I don't really want to give my forces militia because they generally do not level up. And obviously we want our forces to have as great a time as possible. We want them to be able to have an expansive and relatively strong force, and that means that they're going to need units that level up, of course. So yeah, let's give a bunch of these. Oh, this is making things much easier, isn't it? Yes, the way that these are sorted really makes a huge difference. Okay, we're just gonna give a bunch. Just give a huge amount to this guy. He has enough now. And then the last fellow, I should be able to give a whole bunch to him too. But bear in mind that we are now in a situation where I am starting to also have difficulties stationing my own forces right here. So yeah, this is not a good idea, by the way. I would not recommend doing what I'm doing right now and giving forces to random party members, because they are going to be really bad with them. They will literally get them killed at a moment's notice, and yeah, there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, that's not too bad. That's not too bad, because we're still going to have the combat strength and we're still going to be able to win battles the way that is. Anyway, we have taken Blackhaven right here, and it feels to me like we're actually doing pretty well down here as well. Unfortunately, we don't have a very good shot against the Reach. It seems like the Reach is holding out quite nicely, but you can see here, due to the combat strength, Westerland's still doing absolutely fantastically. The Reach is still at 10,000. I personally feel like the Reach has done an absolutely amazing job of holding up against the Westerlands all this time, basically. I mean, whenever they declare war, of course. And the Stormlands 4,700, the Vale 5,200, and obviously House Frey is not really anywhere in terms of their combat strength, but they are still capable of inflicting great casualties, which is pretty harsh. Yeah, pretty harsh indeed. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for this episode, and indeed for this series. I know I'm cutting it a bit short here, but generally I feel as though the Westerlands is going to eventually achieve victory, or if they don't, it's going to be more of a stalemate situation once all of the other factions have been eliminated. I'm talking about Dawn, the Reach, Stormlands, etc. Once all of those have been eliminated, it will indeed be a stalemate, at least I think so, with the North, and hopefully the developers are going to work on that whole thing where the North doesn't really do much in regards to their aggression. They're not really participating in the wars outside of their territory. And as far as I'm aware, the Twins is currently under siege. I don't know who it's under siege by, but I would assume that it is not going to be the North. If it is the North, then that's absolutely fantastic, and that's definitely something that I want to see. But yeah, you can see here a bunch of people were taken prisoner. I don't think that was at the Twins. No, it doesn't seem like it. You know, I'm actually wanting to let the game run just so that we can see who's besieging this, if they do actually end up taking it. Because that's kind of interesting to me. I'm kind of intrigued to see who it is. Should I just go over and see? I don't really want to do that either, because then I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to be vulnerable to any potential attack. Oh, it seems like the siege has actually stopped. So whoever was there was defeated, or generally just couldn't hold up to the garrison there. Alright, well, yeah, indeed. That is the end of the series, and yeah, there's an idea that I have in mind for the next one. And if you have any suggestions about what else you'd like to see, I'm thinking we're probably going to go for Calradia Expanded again, but we're also going to go for Calradia Expanded Kingdoms, which is going to add additional factions to the game. And hopefully that's going to make things a little bit more balanced this time as well, because previously we had Calradia Expanded installed without that, with the exception of the first Calradia Expanded series that we had, and that was with Kingdoms, and that felt a lot more balanced. At least I think so. And then apart from that, we're just going to add a bunch of other miscellaneous mods, and we'll see what we can do with that. But there is a very specific theme I want to have with this new series, and I think a lot of people have been kind of asking for this as well. It's going to make things a lot harder. At least I think it's going to make things a lot harder, but we'll see. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.